Can you talk about that cocoon phase? Because this is, I think, one of the major things that stops people from moving through it, is that it feels, if you're an achievement type person, and I had this phase where people are like, are you okay? You're not as gregarious. You're not as charismatic. You're not as fun to be around. You're like, and it very understandably looked like I was moving backwards. And it is like you're this larva and you're moving around, you're eating leaves, and now you're just a cocoon. Or I called it hibernating. I was a bear, I was ambling around, and now I'm sleeping for an entire winter. And for me, that lasted, I think it's fair to say, years. Can you talk about the cocoon phase and how people can investigate if it's a healthy move into sort of an inner reflection, or if it's an unhealthy withdrawal from the world and a retreat? How can people suss that out so that they can have a bit more confidence moving into that phase? Because it sounds like, and I know this is true of myself, if you can really do the cocoon phase, you come out a butterfly and things are awesome. And it's so worth it, but it is such a scary thing to say yes to because there's no promises when you're in that cocoon. So I just want to hear you talk about that.
Absolutely. I just want to talk quickly about the cocoon phase, and I'll try to hopefully offer a distinction in this explanation because again, this applies to the nervous system and even our ability to cocoon. Because as overachieving, codependent, who lived in New York City for almost a decade with always something to do and someone around me, and I was a serial monogamist, always in a relationship, right? Never alone, never still, who carried a lot of trauma in my body, a lot of inability to navigate the discomfort of being still. And again, the reason why I'm hyper focusing on this, right, to go inward, right, is our nervous system. Let me word it this way: our nervous system is what is going to allow us the safety to go inward or not. A lot of us who are endlessly going, doing, hyper vigilant and focused on the world around us, right, not able to kind of hit pause, are doing it because there's something that feels inherently unsafe about being alone, right? Maybe we were actually physically alone in childhood. Maybe like me, we were emotionally alone in childhood, right? It feels unsafe to be stopped alone. My body actually won't let me. If my heart rate is pounding, my breath is all quick and my muscles are tense, my nervous system is actually telling me to do the complete opposite of be alone, right? So this is when we try to meditate and we're completely in a stressed out state and we have racing thoughts, get up, you can't, right? That's our body's way of saying, no, Nicole, your priority right now is your survival and you better get the hell out of here because there's something stressful. You can't be still. And I would see this. I saw that like the reason why I would schedule my free time weeks in advance with the fear of having an alone. I wouldn't spend any time alone if I could help it. Right. Went out with other people. Or
you get a phone call. You're constantly, I'm not alone. I just am on the phone all the time.
I would schedule phone dates. I actually had a very good best friend that I had to separate ways with because it wasn't actually a very functional relationship at all, who was always that person that we could just chit chat on the phone the whole time. Right. I never had to be alone. And I saw a similar kind of habit in relationship when I was out with others. I would go out and I got very good at being entertaining, at telling stories, at filling the air. Because in reality, quiet and any pause in conversation was troubling for me. I was uncomfortable in even those silent moments when with another person. So sharing that just foundationally, because to make the distinction, right? Am I going alone in solitude? Is it that safe, nourishing, right? I'm connected and I'm inward in my cocoon because that's what I need right now. Either I'm physically exhausted and burnt out from going and doing, right? Or emotionally, or maybe I just want to explore and I'm curious about myself, right? Is it coming from that nourishing place? Or some of us disconnect because we've learned that connections aren't safe. That's what we do when we're uncomfortable or overwhelmed, right? We remove ourselves because relationships didn't offer us that soothing co-regulation. They actually maybe overwhelmed us, right? Back to that helicopter parent in childhood, right? So we need to, again, attune to what aloneness, silence really is doing. Is it nourishing? Is it coming from that inward deep place, again, where we're, kind of going and exploring and maybe giving ourselves some space to even identify what our needs are? Or are we doing it because connection feels unsafe? Because again, not that connection is necessarily unsafe, but we've learned it to be.
Yes, and I have found that you talked about when your heart is racing and you're meditating. It's not are you meditating or aren't you meditating, or are you alone or aren't you alone. It's are you present in your body, or are you dissociating, freaking out, trying to get out of it? And you can look externally any way, right? You can be sitting there looking as zen as possible, but internally, it's and I see people who meditate consistently, but actually don't get the benefits of meditating because there's such a level of emotional unsafety that they can't drop into the experience. So for me, when I was often going, shit, it's been 3 months, it's been 4 months, it's like I'm still not doing it, there were some moments of genuine relaxation where I was able to go, is this good for me? And the answer was yes. And there were other moments of like high stress where I was like, is this good for me? No, this isn't good for me. And I had to learn to trust the wisdom of that slower, regulated. And I was like, man, this has been a long time. It's just keep, trust. You can continue to do this. And learn that one voice was the voice of panic and another voice was the voice of a much deeper knowing that can be trusted. And so it's like, oh gosh, I want to trust myself, but there's so many conflicting voices. And I found that is a way to find a truer, more trustworthy voice, is to really see, like you've mentioned, what's going on with your nervous system. And that'll give you an indication of what sort of self-talk is going to be, how reliable it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add too, because I'm interestingly still learning how to navigate in terms of, my own tendency to produce, and a version of this conversation of, kind of going inward still. I'm finally living into the reality that I've come to learn is the case, is that there are seasons, even in our own individual life experience, seasons for creation and seasons for going inward and not creating and consuming or doing nothing and just being with our own thoughts. And again, I think that many of us, for many different reasons, again, not trying to, it's funny that school's coming up twice, but it's just coming to mind, right? Even work, right? It's so unnatural, this idea that we have to produce between a certain month span or a Monday to Friday work week between these certain hours. And again, I know some of these are societal realities that are the case. So I used to kind of conditionally hold myself up, right? I need to be producing Monday through Friday at all times. And I'm finally, again, embracing that I do believe humans, universally are creative creatures. And just like the nature outside, there are seasons of, consuming and going inward and just being and percolating and planting. And then seasons of going outward and producing and doing and connecting, or whatever that looks like for you. So I just wanted to add that, because that's another area where I'm still very much on my own process and journey of even learning how to navigate my own kind of cocooning, if you will, creative cocooning, in the face of knowing that I might have people always wanting something, right, to come from me. So then again, it's that negotiation of checking in with, and am I forcing myself? And I'm always kind of holding myself accountable with like book projects and ideas and many things that I want to create into the world, right? What am I responding to? Is it really coming from the internal desire and do I want to do this thing? Do I have the resources to do this thing? Is now the time to action into doing this thing? Or again, is it coming from all that other crap?
Yeah. This came up earlier, but I think it's a great time, which is there is this tension between, I think a lot of people are afraid that if they listen to themselves, they'll become totally selfish, narcissistic jerks. And that is why there is a loving attunement to other people. Well, I have this gift to give, and other people want me to write another book. And, I shouldn't go to the bathroom right now because I don't want this person to feel disrespected that I don't care about the speech that they're giving. And I know that there's not an easy answer, but I do want to highlight, it's not what I want all the time, and irrespective of what is occurring outside of me, nor is it I attune to the entire world and that tells me who I am. How do we manage both social engagements, responsibilities, duties, and that listening to the internal, whether it's as the cycle of having to go to the bathroom or a cycle of I need a year off and I'm not writing any books and I'm not taking any clients, even though they see me as someone that could really help them. Like how do we navigate those seemingly opposing drives?
Yeah. I think universally in any relationship, whether it's between two people, between you and your productivity or your community or whatever it is, there's an energetic exchange. And, foundationally, for relationships to survive and to continue to thrive and be successful and sustainable, there's, of course, to speak to your point, a give and take, right? A negotiation, a honoring of differing needs, different energies, right? Different abilities to be present and supportive, if we want to apply the conversation to relationships in particular, different abilities to produce or not produce, if we want to apply the conversation to that we were just having. So energy is being exchanged. We're always in relationship to someone or something, the first relationship beginning with ourselves, and then obviously with anyone and any entity outside of ourselves. So that's, in my opinion, in the energetic universe that I believe we all live in, an energetic reality. And saying that to say, I think the idea that some of us have been given societally, culturally, driven from many different, familial reasons of selflessness, or selfishness on the other side of it, showing up in service. I call them the good person beliefs that I know I had, right? This idea of needing to be endlessly available or at service of that person or that entity, right? At the detriment of our own self, not even factoring ourselves in. And that, I believe, is problematic and dysfunctional, because to be an energetically caring and compassionate creature, we have to, in my opinion, be energetically connected to the organ of compassion, actually the most powerful organ in our body, which is our heart.
Yeah.
Right. To actually be loving in the way that we think we're loving, we have to be safely grounded, right, with a body that has needs met, that has emotions, that's in that grounded state of presence. It's, having emotions because they color our world and they create information. Though I'm not becoming overwhelmed or disconnected, I'm able to, right, be in even a point of negotiation. I'm even able to see your perspective as a different individual. I'm able to hold compassionate space and connection even when those perspectives differ. Yeah. And when we are in a nervous system state of activation, or we're having a stress response or a trauma response, again, that many of us are living in, we actually cannot be that. We all become, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, we all become narcissistic. We become self-focused. We are actually, even if we think we're serving them, we're managing their perception of us. Right? We're not actually able physiologically, because when we're in survival mode, it really just comes down to our evolution and the way we're wired. We are only focused on ourselves. And this doesn't matter if it's your mom, if it's your partner, if it's your child. This is why, and I'll speak from my own lived experience, I can become hurtful. I can say mean things. I can do mean things, whether it's explosively mean things or disconnecting mean things. Oh, you'll miss me when I'm gone. Something I heard, right? In my childhood, we're not actually compassionate in those moments at all. And again, it's more underlying, I think, in these roles and these ways we serve, and we think we're being good. But if that goodness isn't coming from that grounded, calm, connected, compassionate space of our heart, then in reality, we are a bit more self-focused, and I think many of us are willing to acknowledge. And again, this is the basis of my book. So much of it is kind of built around the nervous system. And actually, to be, right, the love we seek, it has to begin with that state of heart-brain coherence that actually then will create that safety for another individual, our ability to see them as separate, our ability to hold space for them as separate, to be kind and compassionate and caring, whether or not we choose to relate with them or not, then we actually become that love. But again, it foundationally includes our body, our nervous system, and all of the conversation that we beautifully had.
If you want to go deeper on this, more confidence, more charisma, and how to show up in a way that has presence in every area of your life, we've built a program that will help you do exactly that. Here's what one student had to say. I went from this very weird person who missed social cues to this guy that could keep a conversation going and make people laugh. The course is called Charisma University. It's had tens of thousands of students go through it, 30 days long, fully guaranteed. If you don't think it was worth it, you get a refund right from inside the program. There's a link on the screen here and in the description. I hope you decide to check it out.